and welcome to Travel Talks, the Gray Dawes webinar series when we discuss all things business travel. My name's John Hutton. I'm the head of operations here at Gray Dawes Sports. I'm joined today by my colleague and sports travel team manager Michelle Sample, and by our good friend Tom Sharp, commercial manager at the Welsh Sports Association. This is something of a Travel Talks takeover. Normally, my colleagues in Gray Dawes Travel use this webinar platform to present all manner of fascinating topics relating to business travel. But we thought it was time to put some specialist sports travel management on the schedule. And we've invited Tom here to pick our brains to what makes a successful sports travel management program. Over the next half an hour or so, we'll be sharing our top tips, hopefully some best practices, and maybe one or two stories to help you and your team achieve a winning solution, shall we say, when you travel. If you do have any questions for us, please use the Q&A function in Zoom, and we'll do our best to answer as many as we can at the end. Any we don't get in, we promise that the Travel Talks team behind the scenes will respond to you directly with answers to your questions. So, and I make absolutely no apology for the pun. Tom, should we kick off?
Thanks so much, John. And yes, thanks so much, Michelle. Also, we really do appreciate your time for this sports travel takeover. Hopefully, we'll provide some useful hints and tips for our members to take away. So yeah, let's begin. One thing I would like to mention or highlight, and as you're aware, as kind of valued partners of the Welsh Sports Association, you're aware of the variety and scale of the members that we support. So from the likes of the FAW, the WRU, all the way down to Petanque and Basketball Wales. So it would be good to kind of keep this in mind when considering your answers, if you can. Not all our members have teams of people to manage travel, logistics, or in-country support, etc. So it's actually normally someone's bolt-on to their everyday role. So with that being said, when should our members consider a travel management company? And that's to either one of you.
I'll take that one to start with. I'm going to start with just being very generic, and then we can move into some of the detail. But it really is when our experience can give you a helping hand, when you need specialist assistance for the travel you need and the travellers you have. And as importantly is where we can add value. Travel is, for sports teams, is hugely important. It's around the world. It is complex. There will be some elements of travel that will be fairly straightforward, but there will be some that will be very complex indeed, with athletes that have been training for years to go to a particular championships or world championships or Olympics obviously coming up this year. And they need to be able to travel in the best possible way. That's not necessarily in the biggest seats with budgets and everything else, but it is in the most logistical, advantageous way. And that's the sort of opening area of when your members should consider using a TMC like ourselves.
TMT is a travel management company.
Sorry, yeah, travel has got so many acronyms, unfortunately. Travel management company, TMC.
So if a member is gearing up for an event and wishes to run a number of kind of training camps kind of in the lead up, how much notice would you advise, and what would they need to provide you for kind of a seamless experience?
Early preparation, earlier the better, will always be the most important thing. It allows you to secure the best group airfares and capacity, but also viable alternative options. If the main option that you're looking for isn't available, the earlier you book, the more chance you've got of alternative options being available. And also create a comprehensive itinerary. Cover all aspects of the trip, obviously air travel, accommodation, you got training, rest, understanding the competition schedules, but go further than that. How are you going to get to the airport the day before you fly? Do you need to stay at the airport the day before you fly? How are you going to get to the airport on the day you actually travel, if that's an option? When can you come home? What's the earliest you can come home? What's the latest you have to stay in regard to the competition schedules? Once you've got thorough planning and a comprehensive itinerary, it really does give you the blocks to build from.
Brilliant. And obviously the member would have to provide you with that, or is that a collaborative process? How does that kind of generally work out?
Yeah, absolutely. It absolutely can be a collaborative process, and we'll touch on hopefully some of the nitty gritty of things as things going forward. But I will always say we're here to help. That's the most important thing.
And in terms of costs, I'm sure you get this all the time, but members feel that kind of booking online directly can obviously reap rewards. So what do you say to this? And how does working with a TMC, travel management company, differ?
Good question. And it's something we get asked quite a bit. And I think this is where value is more important than costs. If you have 3 or 4 people traveling point to point in Europe for a few days and the itinerary is fairly straightforward, then I absolutely agree with you and understand that the ease of booking yourself online is a viable option. But the real question is perhaps where you look and where you book. And in this, content is key. What you see is key. You need all the options in one place. If you go to a specific airline website, you'll only see their content and perhaps a few of their preferred hotels. But a travel management company's website should give you all the airline content in one place. This includes the new lower cost restrictive fares that many of the scheduled airlines are now offering. They're called NDC fares, a new distribution capability, and it's giving the scheduled carriers options to offer fares alongside the low cost carriers where they're restrictive, doesn't carry any baggage. Those types of fares, they should all be available to you, including the normal scheduled airlines fares for all the carriers, plus any negotiated discounted rates that are offered by your travel management company. In regard to hotels, you want hotel content from suppliers such as Expedia and Booking.com, those leisure-based fares or those leisure-based rates that again are restrictive, but are likely to be cheaper than some of the possible corporate rates. But having the ability to see all those corporate rates that might be more flexible, and any preferred supplier rates too. Having these in one place is paramount. But this is also before we add in the additional support you receive from your travel management company as well, in areas such as a 24-hour service, always on, especially when there are travel issues such as weather, or currently we've got industrial action coming across things like trains and airports. We've got delays like the recent air traffic control problems in the August last year. Booking with the travel management company on their website as well gives you the security. And then obviously you've got the other additional options like account facilities, reporting for budgeting purposes, a clear view of all your travel expenditure, duty of care, so we know where people are, and most of all the experience that your travel management company can offer based on sports, this very complex travel area.
A lot of our members actually appreciate the opportunity kind of to book on account rather than having to put 10 or 15 flights on a credit card. Another thing that we've discussed in the past is booking times and stats that you guys kind of pick up. Can you kind of flesh that out a little bit more for us?
Absolutely. And again, we're back to some of the advanced purchase options when you know what you're traveling to. Across the business, this is both from a sporting travel and a corporate travel angle. We looked at savings that you can base on things like a 90-day advance purchase. If you're able to book that far in advance and you know your plans, on domestic flights, your average savings are somewhere in the region of about 52%. Across Europe, it can be 40%, and worldwide, as much as 38%. Even if you bring that down to somewhere between a 14 and 30-day advance purchase, domestically, you can still save the best part of 30%, Europe around 15, 16%, and worldwide sort of 21%. So those are big tips in regard to what you can achieve. In regard to hotels, there are some anomalies here as well. Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights, Saturday nights are the most expensive. And if you just look at a different rate between a Thursday and a Saturday, and we did this across the business, across all our across all our corporates and on sport. The savings can be as much as 19% difference between a Thursday night and a Saturday.
Yeah.
And one of the other ones that has come up recently is how hotel booking companies, the hotels themselves, all the algorithms put in place that when you're looking to book things on a weekend, on a particular Saturday, they tend to be more expensive, or the offer that you may get tends to be more expensive if you're looking at booking on a Saturday. So do it during work time, it's much better.
Oh, well, that goes my my holiday plans with the wife this weekend then. That's really interesting. Oh, that's yeah, and you've got those stats to hand so you can inform our members.
Absolutely.
About,
and as I say, this is across the whole of the business. This isn't just sport, this is all our corporate travelers as well.
Well, that's awesome. So I was going to also add, which is really, really important for our members and imperative really, is providing a service that supports individuals with mobility challenges. And can you kind of detail what support is available through you on that, and also for sports travel? A lot of our members travel with kit and in some instances firearms as well. So any thoughts and suggestions on that would be interesting to hear.
For special assistance and wheelchair information, we really ask for clear indication at the time of booking if any team members require any special assistance, including those with mobility challenges or wheelchair users, what types of wheelchairs they require, manual, is it battery operated, things like that, and also their dimensions and weight of each wheelchair. Because we have to get clearance from the airports, the airlines, and also the aircraft, because it all depends upon what aircraft size you've got. So we have to ensure that there's compliance with customs and immigration, especially with traveling with anybody who has medication, medical devices, or other regulated items, which again, firearms, we do ask for all those informations up front so we can get all that clearance prior booking the group onto those flights.
And don't forget, we've also got things like medical equipment, physio tables, actual medicines themselves, as well as we mentioned, the sort of medical devices. That's
awesome, and especially with these detailed itineraries that many of our organizations have to handle and deal with, being able to kind of pass that over to you would be beneficial, and takes a lot of angst out of the whole process. So
absolutely. What we really ask for is some clear communication, and again, that's probably a big tip in regard to dealing with your travel management company. Just take for group travel, for example, you've got number of seats, obviously, dates of travel, class of travel, how much excess baggage over individual allowances you might need, and this can be cleared at the same time as the seats. And costs with excess baggage can be high. Airlines are starting to really charge for a lot of excess baggage. Some airlines will give some excess baggage in the group fares themselves, but there are some high costs now associated in this area. We're currently looking at an itinerary for one of our customers. Their excess baggage is going to be touching £20,000. So it's a big part of that budget that they're looking for this one particular trip.
Well, that actually leads on quite nicely to my next question, because I guess extra weight means extra fuel, and my question was going to be on sustainability. So you will know, because you attended, that off the back of the WSA Sustainability in Sport conference, we've had a lot of our members review the way in which they travel to sporting fixtures and events and how many they go to. What can you kind of say on this topic, and how closely do you look and care about sustainability?
It's paramount now, to be fair. Yes, we can always talk about costs, but sustainability is is a hot topic, rightly so. I thought the sustainability conference was great. It was great to see some of your members interact with them. And as I say, it is hugely important. With a travel policy in place, your travel management company should be able to guide you on the most sustainable options in regard to CO2 emissions. And that can be based on aircraft type, direct or indirect flights. So you can make the best options on all the relevant data. So cost as well as CO2 emissions. One of the benefits of our website is that you can sort by CO2 emissions. So it immediately gives you the option to see how sustainable your flight or your travel option is. Trains are a huge benefit when traveling. If you look at some of the political situations now in, say, France, where domestic flights are being culled rightly for the ability to travel by train. And again, if you're searching for somewhere like Paris, I would suggest if you're traveling from anywhere in the south, and certainly from Wales, that the train is a very viable option. We're seeing now a number of national governing bodies needing to report in great detail their carbon emissions and their carbon offset, and to have in place a sustainability policy that's in line with their world and governing bodies. So it's a very important area, and one that we're delighted to be involved in, and being able to offer the data so that the best decisions can be made.
Very well answered. I've got a number of questions, so I hope I have a bit of extra time to ask the remaining few. One of these is quite generic, and it's about any recent examples you have of the value you provide in a booking with a travel management company. Have you got any examples that you could share with us that have happened recently, perhaps?
Yes, of course. Welsh Rowing came to us with a challenge recently, trying to get quite a lot of passengers to Ireland. It included ferry travel, coach transfers for the UK and also Ireland. It was very it needed a very quick turnaround, but we got everybody there successfully. There was no travel challenges. The ferries were on time. The coaches were all logistically timed perfectly, and it was a very successful regatta, and I believe that they won quite a few medals in the process, which was great.
Awesome. So essentially taking the stress away from them completely for what seems like quite a complex travel.
Absolutely, and it was a very complex travel itinerary.
We like to feel that we play a very, very small part, a very, very small cog, say, in a big logistical wheel for the people that we look after, and we take great pride in it too. We do enjoy seeing the success that our customers achieve, and we do feel, a little part of it. I was speaking to a CEO of one of the national governing bodies we look after a couple of weeks ago, and I mentioned this. We're a small cog in your big logistical wheel, but we do feel proud of what we do. And he turned around a bit worryingly, said, "John, forget that." He said, "You're at the coalface a lot of the time. We need your support. We need your logistical expertise to get us to some of these far-flung places in the best possible way. So don't underestimate, the pressure we put upon you and the part that you play. But we do love seeing the success. It is fantastic, and it just means that we can watch sport all day. No, that's not true. It means that we can keep on top of what competitions are taking place, and following some of the individuals and the teams that we look after. And in addition to things like that, when we talk about value, is some of the expertise that we can offer in regard to things like visa requirements and passport validities. Don't gamble on these. We have the suppliers in place that can assist on all of this type of documentation. It's got worse since we've left the EU. Don't gamble. We had an example last year where a team knew one of their players didn't have the correct visa for where they were heading, but chanced it based on the fact they'd only be in the country for 48 hours and leave after the sort of high-profile fixture. They were all traveling as a group, and it was, it was obvious who they were. He got on the flight, which was perhaps an area he shouldn't have got to start with. They tried to talk their way in at immigration and got turned away. He was one of their sort of major players, and literally got sent back on the plane that he'd just come in on. So try and get all those in place beforehand. As I say, don't gamble. We are here to help, and I think that's one of the things that I always try and reiterate, is that we are here to help. And it can be things like, as well, the requirements for special meals, whether that's halal or vegetarian or vegan. All of these small things make a big difference when people are traveling. For one of our customers, it's paramount to get as many emergency exit legroom seats that they can get. And it's fairly obvious who I'm talking about, but there are about 9 on an aircraft, or depending on who they are, and as many of those as possible is fantastic. It's things like that where we can help.
One of my other kind of key questions, selfishly, was any examples of how you can work with some of the WSA's other partners, because we have quite a few. Have you got any examples that you could share with us?
Certainly. We have a couple of partners that are preferred partners with ourselves, and we talk about Enterprise Car Hire, who I know are one of your partners. We work very closely with Enterprise, but we also will offer referrals to your brokers, Watkin Davies, and your underwriter Sports Cover. And insurance, again, is vital. Travel insurance is vital. Make sure that people have got the right and appropriate travel insurance in place, especially for sports equipment, medical emergencies, cancellations, and also think of those risks. I know one of your members, CalcRisk, and the risk assessments that they do. Again, hugely vital in regard to the travel that sporting bodies need to take.
Thanks, John, and I'm sure they'll appreciate the plug. So those were quite niche questions, but are there any other considerations that our members need to be aware of from your skills and expertise?
Yes, one of the things is that we do suggest is that the athletes and staff always familiarise with the local culture and customs of the destination, to promote the cultural sensitivity, plus any language support that is necessary. They may need interpreters, translators, and it's just to facilitate the effective communication that they need in these countries.
And added to that is the sort of post-travel assessment as well, and feedback. Your TMC should ask for your feedback, but we find it priceless, and the evaluation is very important. Work out, if parts of the trip didn't go as according to plan, what was the airline like? What was check-in like? What was the ground transportation service like? What was hotel check-in like? All these types of things. And if there's anything else that you can avoid going forward, then that's something to make sure that you've got in place. And we will always ask for feedback. It makes a service we can offer better for everybody, not just yourselves going forward.
I guess feedback on your service is crucial and useful for you guys as well. So if organizations and members of ours come to you for a quote, then they can take that quote up by all means, or they can go elsewhere. And I guess if they're going elsewhere, what are the reasons for doing that? And that feedback would probably be valuable and insightful for you also, right?
Hugely. And we would very much appreciate that. It just makes all our lives easier. And again, we're back to that whole piece around clear communication, and that we're here to help.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, John, Michelle, that's really useful. Those hints and tips will be invaluable, I'm sure. Do we have time for a couple of questions? Have there been any questions in the chat?
There has actually. Tim has a great question. What is your fee structure and how do you get recompensed for the work you do? John, do you want to take that one?
Oh, dive right in, Tim. Hey, we do charge a fee, and there is a fee structure for the work that we do, but that is our only line of recompense. There are no commissions in airlines anymore. In the good old days, there used to be, but these days there aren't. And we always say that's what keeps the lights on. And don't forget, those fees include all the additional things we've talked about in regard to the duty of care, so you know where travellers are, the 24 hours always on assistance, especially when there are things outside of your control. We've talked about the weather and air traffic control, the ability to have your travel on account, the reporting budgets that you'll be able to see, the sustainability angle in regard to your CO2 emissions, all those are included in that fee. So think about what that fee includes, and I think it comes with good value. But that is the main way that we do get recompensed.
Okay, we've got another great question from Sarah. What's your presence here in Wales and what support can you offer for our in-country travel?
That's a great question in regard to the support if you're travelling within Wales. We've got options, obviously, in regard to the hotel content that we offer. As I mentioned, the ability to see some of those leisure-based rates, restricted, yes, but if you know you're travelling to a sustainability conference, you're staying in Cardiff the night before, they're great rates to be able to have access to. You can see all the train fares based that you would need to see on the one booking platform. So next to hotels, you can see your trains and all the options in regard to advance train tickets and the money that you can save there. So we do have those options available to you on our online tool.
On the 6th of June for the WSA Sports Industry Awards in Cardiff. There'll hopefully be a few hundred people attending. That's maybe an option if everyone's staying in and around Cardiff. Then you should
Absolutely.
be a port of call, no, John?
Absolutely, we'll be delighted to look at that. It would be great to work with the membership. It would be great to speak to you all.
Brilliant, thanks for that. John, have you got time for any more questions, or what are we doing for time?
I think we're actually close to wrapping up now, but just one last thing that I'd just like to mention is that we've got loads of great information on our website, which covers the topic of travel policy and how to create one and what needs to go into it as well, and when you need to update it. So if you just visit our website on www.gdg.travel and click on the search icon and type in policy, you'll get great results for articles, downloads, and the pages will really help you guys.
And any questions we haven't answered will be answered by the team. So if you have asked a question, we will definitely get back to you. And to be honest, I feel we could discuss this for hours, but we are out of time. Thanks, Tom, for joining us today and asking the questions and quizzing us so comprehensively. Thanks for all the questions. We shall be compiling all of today's key discussion points into one of our Travel Talks fact sheets and sharing those with you via email. Usually take a couple of days to come out, so look for those. And I know we've taken over this Travel Talks, but do look at all the previous episodes. They are all available to watch on our website. There are some fantastic discussions on things like how to control your costs in travel programs, what the future of technology in travel could look like. There's one about how to be the best travel booker, and many more. So there's lots of content there. www.gdg.travel/talks, and you'll see them all there. But for now, Michelle, Tom, thank you. Thank you to everybody for joining us. We wish you and your teams every success and safe travels. Thank you. Bye-bye.